All right, so welcome everyone to July's Q&A. Our deep dive today is going to be all about saved views. So that's what prompted the initial question. Are you overwhelmed by your client list or your task list? Those are areas that we're going to be touching base on, but feel free to pop your answer in the chat, or of course, at any point, you can ask questions in the chat as well. We'll do this quick deep dive, and then we will open up the call for any questions that you might have and get into those answers as well. But before we get started, we wanted to give you guys a little bit of background about who we are. So Hughes and Strong Consulting, where did we come from? We started this because, first of all, we both get nerdy about creating systems and processes. Anything that we can do to help make the lives of bookkeepers a little bit easier gets us excited. But we did notice that there was kind of a gap in the industry here, that everyone's business goals are different. And there's a lot out there right now that is, here's one way that'll definitely make your business better. But we know that everybody's unique and businesses are all unique. And so you'll never hear us say that there's one right way or one best way to do things because there's not. Everybody's different. The solutions are all going to be different. So we are here. That's why we started Hughes and Strong, but we're here to meet you wherever you are and walk alongside you on your journey. So with that said, we have a big disclaimer. Again, we're never going to tell you that you should do something. Everything that we share, they're ideas. They're things that you could do. So just take them as inspiration, and please, please, please don't put pressure on yourselves to do something differently if it's not working for you. So take all of this as examples and inspiration, please. As we mentioned today, we are deep diving into saved views, and we'll share ideas on how that feature can be used within your business. We're going to share some examples that we've seen other users using as well. And then, like I mentioned, we're going to open that up to a Q&A, answer any questions about Keeper that you might have. Let's get into it. Saved views. What are they? Where are they? Who has access? How do I do that? So saved views, it's a quick way to filter what you see so that you show only what you want to see. We'll get into that in more detail here in a minute, but just think of saved views as quick filter buttons. Who has access to them? A private saved view, only that individual user will have that view, hence why it's called private. Firm-wide saved views, of course, can be seen by all team members, so the naming factors there are pretty intuitive. You have access to these saved views in both your client list and in your task list. And good news is everybody can use them. So all users can create and save views. How do you do that? So we're going to go into it deeper here in just a moment, but a real quick thing is all you have to do is filter, add, remove. You just manipulate the data that you're seeing in some way, and then you will see this save view pop up. Click on that to save it and name it, and then choose whether you want it to be just a view for yourself or if you want this to be shared among all team members. When would you use these? We often see them used for anything that you commonly filter. So anything that you're looking for on a regular basis, create a save view for them. As far as we know, there's no limitation on how many of these you can create. So again, it just gives you that quick filter button to be able to get to see the information that you want to see right away. Oh, our lovely client list and that default view. It does not matter how many clients you have. This view is overwhelming. Always overwhelming because it contains so much information. So a great way is to filter this down. You can do that by any number of ways. We're going to give you some examples here in just a moment. But statuses, properties, any of those types of things, you can filter this down into smaller views.
Let's actually pause there for a second,
Yeah.
Jody. You are on a roll. I want to kind of give some context. So this is the first view or the first page that you see when you log into Keeper. So that's why we're talking so much about how can we narrow this down. So before I've had my coffee on Monday, I'm not freaking myself out by seeing all of the red and the different colors. Just as a quick overview, in case this is not something that you've poked around on, our default client list shows all clients and then shows a lot of different columns or properties. So each of these down on like the right-hand side of the page that say general, payroll, those are the different sections you have within Keeper. And if you're in the live view, this is just a screenshot right now, but if you're in the live view of this, you can click on any of those that have a number on them to get a little bit more understanding of what task is inside there and what's overdue. So there's a lot of great info on this page, but it's not all something we want to see all at once before we've really gotten our bearings on where we need to start the day.
Thank you for that context. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So let's jump into some examples. Oops. Oh, a second. My computer just jumped all over the place. There we go. All right, so at a quick glance or just the basics. This is a popular one. Some people will call it their bird's eye view. You can see here, that's the name that our sample has. And you can see we've narrowed down the number of columns and we've added in a close progress. So at a quick glance, we can see, okay, this close process is complete. And we look at the status, it's ready to publish. So very quickly, we can see just the information that we want to see here.
And we'll go through a little bit more in depth on how to actually manipulate or show and hide these columns. But at a base, notice how much we've reduced these columns. So I'm filtering down to just the stuff that's really important for me when I'm just trying to get an overview of my business. Where am I actually at right now? A lot of that comes into play with the due dates and the status. I do want an update on any new client portal pieces or any uploaded files. And then we've just showed a couple of really key columns for us, task columns for, is there anything in the general section that's overdue? Is there anything in the account reconciliations that are due, or quality control? And then just that close progress bar. So again, just allows you to filter down and be like, okay, Keeper, lovely, but just show me these couple of pieces so that I can get a heads up on Monday and actually see where we're at before we dive deeper into individual pieces of Keeper.
Another great example is doing it by status. So here we have two examples of how somebody might look up what's ready for review or who's stuck. So it's a great way to filter very quickly to those that need your attention right now for these. So in addition, we can create custom properties. So that's going to expand the number of columns that you have available to you. This is just a very quick glance at where that's found. So when you go to add and remove columns, there is a property section, and then anything that you've created will show up here, and you can toggle those on to show them if you want, toggle them off if you want to hide them. And that can be set up here. And we can definitely show you where that is in the demo account as well. But you can do that from your practice settings. You can also do that from the client page by going up to the info area. But so with custom properties, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. It just opens up a lot more ability to create different pieces that you want to see at a quick glance without going into the client. So there's a lot of possibilities and columns that come default within Keeper that we saw even on that default page. These custom properties allow you to create fields and columns to store some relevant information. So when we're going through these past here, the examples on the client list have at least one or two custom columns to, again, add that context or the info that you're going to need to see at a quick glance instead of having to go back through that client's engagement letter or back through that client to find all of the information for you. So just a little bit about those properties there.
So these are two examples. Like she said, here's some quick facts about the client and their engagement. Here's one that maybe about how they're receiving their reminders and just a quick look at the client portal. So this one's about client communication. Some like to do it by service type. So these are two examples, bookkeeping clients versus payroll clients You can have it set up for any number of things, but yes, this is set up as a custom property here to where you just toggle on which clients have payroll and which don't. And then I forget where this one, what filters this one. Erica, do you remember?
So for bookkeeping clients, we just filtered actually by the client name. So there's lots of options here. You can filter down again by any column, which means that the possibilities are a little endless. But if we want to do that by, these are all of my clients that I have a checkbox that they have payroll or this service, we can do that. We can also filter down and just hand pick the clients from that first client column, and that's what we can filter by too. So lots of options here, but then again, the custom properties allow you to give some more context around whatever you're zooming into. So for the bookkeeping clients view, you'll see I added some properties for how often do we actually close them? Is it a quarterly or an annual? So I don't have to go inside that client to find that info. How often are we doing the bank frequency? And then a couple of relevant clients. When I'm in bookkeeping mode, this might be some of the information that I just need. And then down below, payroll, same kind of idea. So just making the information that you're going to need when you're in that mode easy to find. So if these are all my payroll clients, which system are they again? How often? What's the next payroll run date? And then are any tasks due in that column? So these are a little bit of a combination between Keeper's defaults and those custom properties to give you information zooming into these different service types within your business if that's something that you're missing throughout Keeper. This is another really unique example that I've seen a lot in the Facebook group. If you tend to work by day of the week, so you chunk them down and certain clients you work on Monday, certain clients you work on Tuesday, you can actually create a custom column or property for day of the week and then have a view just for that. So filtering down what are my Monday clients and where am I at? So lots of flexibility, but this is one of the more creative uses that I really like showing off because some of these are pretty standard. Some of these get a little bit more creative, but especially if you're one of those that prioritizes them in an order, like these are all of my number one priority clients, they have to get done first. These are my number two, these are my number three. Or if you do day of the week, you can build that into the Keeper client list or dashboard to help you organize yourself and orient which clients you need to be working on today.
Excellent. And I know we've already got some questions popping through. We'll answer them in just a moment. We want to shift real quick over to the task list and show you where we can set up saved views here as well. Now, the task list, so we were just on the client list. Now we're over here on the tasks page. And this view shows you a summary of all tasks for all clients in all closes. So a lot of people will have pages and pages and pages of tasks here. This gets beyond overwhelming. So learning how to filter the information here can become extremely helpful. We do have some quick filters up here at the top. And then we'll show you a few more examples of how to get through additional ones as well. So with the quick filters, you can just choose assign to me, and then you can also choose your due dates. So whether it's due today, or maybe you want to see due today and overdue. This is an excellent way to get your daily task list. So save that view, and when you come in the morning, you can click on your tasks, look at that saved view, and you know exactly where to start for that day.
This can also be really helpful if you're somebody who has other team members, especially when we're new and training them. It can be kind of difficult inside of Keeper, or people may have a tendency to go through each client to see what's due. Just use the task list and filter down to say, hey, just show me the stuff that's assigned to me and due today. So this can be a really helpful tool, whether it's you trying to get yourself oriented on any due dates that you need to start with today, or if you have contractors underneath you that are looking for their tasks that are due today or due this week so that they can start getting ahead.
A couple other examples for how you might filter these. Again, like we said before with the client list, you can also have a custom task status, and you can sort by that status. So if you have tasks that need to be reviewed and you have a custom status called ready for review, then you can filter your task list to show you which ones are ready, and you can do your check to review that information and get back to the person who it was originally assigned to. This is great when you do have those multiple levels of team members and those checks and balances put in place. Another one is by service, so the payroll. If you're doing payroll and you want to see across all clients what payroll is due or which tasks are coming up, then you can sort by the section as well. So we just showed you a couple quick ways by assignee, by due date, by status, by section. Anything where you see that little filter button, you can change the data here to be able to take to just filter it down to what you need.
Exactly. And honestly, this is one of my favorite views because Friday is payroll day, but who's due today? Like who falls today rather than next Friday? So I love doing a due this week and filtering down however you have it organized. If you have a separate section that's just for payroll in that non-closing section up top, you could filter it by that. If you're using tags, you could filter it by that. So again, lots of different ways to get the same info, but Throughline is allowing you to just say, okay, Keeper, you have a lot of info in your brain. Just show me what I need in mine for this mode that I'm in or these tasks that I'm starting right now.
Now we're going to jump into the demo account that we have. So you guys can see some here. We've already got this one filtered down, but let's jump back over to the default. So when you initially log in, you're going to be at the default. I know we saw some questions in there. It's a very popular question. Can you change the default? Can you save over default? And the answer is no. We're not able to save over this. But good news is this feature is sticky. So if you are on your bird's eye view and then you close your browser, you go about your business, you come back to it, you open it back up, it's going to show you the last view that you were on. So that can be very helpful there. And it's just that simple of clicking in the view, finding the one that you want to get that quick change in the data.
Now, and honestly, there's a lot of us, there's a lot of us that for some of these, like due today, it's a couple of clicks to change over that view. So we do get questions every once in a while of like, well, is it worth doing a saved view? My view is if I don't want to do the extra clicks, or I'm not likely to do those extra clicks when I'm super busy or I haven't had my coffee yet or anything like that, in my worst day, in my most fuzzy day, if I'm not likely to do those clicks or remember which ones I filtered down, that's when I save it as a new view, because that allows me to go in, choose from the dropdown when I've already thought about it before, or have that dropdown be sticky, or that view be sticky, so that I don't have to go to it every single time I log into Keeper.
Exactly. And again, to show you the live version here, your task list. As your default, and it's sticky as well in here. So you can quickly change as needed. But let me show you real quick how this works. So this is going to be the same on the task list as it is in the client list. They have the same features here. So anywhere that you see this filter button, you can click on that and filter down by whatever it is in here that you select. So if I just want to see non-closing tasks, I can do that. And once I filter, Save View will pop up. Click on that, save the new view, name it, and then choose whether you want it to be a private or firm-wide. And then you can come back in and choose the view you're wanting. Now, if you're in a view that you have already saved and you filter again, and then you come up here to save view, it'll ask if you want to update the current one or if you want to save a new one. So no matter where you are as you're filtering down, you have these options. Within the task list, this is where you can manage the columns. So adding or hiding the columns that you see. And if you need to change anything about the view, you have more options here. So example would be to duplicate it, rename it, delete it, or adjust the sharing on that as well. So again, it's going to be the same type of setup here on your client list as well.
And we breezed over this, but that little table looking icon that Jody's hovering over says add and remove columns. You're not going to delete a column by unchecking it. Better way to think about it is show and hide the columns. The columns are going to stay. I know that's a big concern if we're just getting started on these views because we don't want to delete any of the custom columns we just created. This is just a show and hide. And you'll see as you click or unclick, those columns will disappear behind you.
And just to reiterate, it also does not turn something on or off. So again, this is just hiding these views, but preparer is still enabled. I'm just hiding it from my view here. So this is not where you turn features on and off. It's just what you visibly see in your client list here. And then same thing with some more options here. I'm in the default, so it's not going to show me many options. There are also in the client list view, there are special filters. So these are, again, kind of like your quick buttons. So if you wanted to sort by, these specifics, you can do that quickly by doing that, or clear filter here. You can also, for the close, see everyone, just the latest one, or any and all that are open. So lots of opportunities here for filtering and reducing that visual overwhelm that is so common on these pages.
And this is a feature that I will be the first to say that it takes a little bit of playing around. So don't get overwhelmed by all of these different views that we mentioned. Again, take one that seems like it'll be helpful for you, whether it's a payroll view or a due today. Just kind of start playing around with manipulating and showing and hiding these columns. Over time, your brain will naturally go, I need this view, or I want to see just these columns. It'll come naturally. And again, especially because if we make any changes, Keeper will give us the opportunity to adjust this view or resave this view. We don't have to start from scratch if there's a column that you decide you don't need or that you want on this view instead. So lots of flexibility. This is not a permanent zone, but one that we can kind of play with over time.
All right, so what other questions have come through the chat? We can now open it up here to answer any questions about what we've just gone over, or if you have questions at all about any other area of Keeper, we're happy to dive in and help troubleshoot.
Yeah, and opening this up honestly for any questions here. So whether you are somebody who's like, actually, I want to dive deeper in and see how I can get this specific view of some of these ways and what we would do, or if you just want a little bit of a heads up on a different feature or anything, floor is open. Jody, we do have one. So can you talk about the reasons column?
Yes. So the reason column here, this is in relation to your closed status. So the closed status here, if I click in and choose stuck, it'll automatically prompt me to choose a reason so that I can make note of why this is stuck. Save that, and it'll update here. And if you want to be able to turn this on, it'll be up here in your practice settings, under tasks, all the way down here at the bottom, close status. And then you've got this reasons column here. So if we created a new one, or if I want to edit these two, so anyway, you have it in here, you see reasons here, and then you've got the edit button in that column. So you can edit, and then you add in what you want those options to be. And then when somebody selects that status, they'll have to choose from this list of reasons. Again, it just helps to improve that visibility about what's happening with that client without having to dig too deep into your system here.
It gives you a really good idea. Again, if you have a multi-level firm and you have somebody doing a lot of the data entry or maybe the client communication, it can give some more context around why somebody's stuck or what waiting on client is, or, you know, are the bank feeds disconnected? Are we waiting on statements? Again, just giving some visibility. And the reasons column works as a drop down. So you get to choose which options you want. I have had some people who mentioned that that's a little bit like restrictive. I'd rather just have like a notes section. That's something that you can create with a custom property and just do a text property. If you'd rather than a dropdown, have just an open text field where somebody can write a little note, or you can write a little note to yourself.
You can name it anything you want. Click save there. And then anytime you add a property, it defaults puts it at the end. Keep in mind, this is our demo account. We do a lot of playing in here. That's why we have so many different client properties. But it adds it down here, and then you can just type in anything if you want it to be a note there. And just to reiterate this, the custom properties, you're still in your practice settings. You're going to come to all client settings, and then it's that third tab over properties. Now, if you're inside client, I want to show you really quickly where that is found from this page. Up here, click on info, and this is where you see all the same properties. You see everything here. You can also reorder them here. Some people find this a little bit easier to reorder. Just keep in mind that this is, again, a practice-wide. So if you change the order on this client, it will change the order on every client and on your client list view. So on your dashboard view there, it will also change there. But you can also click here to add property and get that same, get those same options.
Exactly. So just to reiterate, just like sections, all of them will show up for every client and will show up in the same order. That data inside of that can be manipulated. So you can add in the context or what the answer is for that piece, either on this single client in the info or from your client list. So lots of options there as well. Jody, I did have a question come up about how are these, the list of save views, how are they ordered? So I want to cover that really quickly. So we have emojis because the ranking here inside of Keeper is emojis, then numbers, then letters. So in that order, so if we stick an emoji on something, it automatically goes to the top, which is why we use emojis here in the name of these saved views. But again, you could order them by number if you'd rather a specific order show up, or you can let it alphabetize by, just by the name of the title itself.
And special characters, I think those come before numbers. So if you're using like an asterisk, so I think it's emojis, special characters, then numbers, then alphabetical. Again, that's one of those things where play around with it until you find what's the most intuitive for you or the most helpful. Okay. I did see a question about how to go back and like create a view from the beginning. So if you're in your client list here, you're on the default page and you want to scale this down. Oftentimes the first place people go is here to add and remove columns. And it's broken up into sections. So you've got your client, this would be your status area. Then it's all about the close. Do you want to see who's working on it? The status. Do you want to see that close reason? The due date, all of that. So this is here. Everything that refers to the close is there. So you would pick and choose which ones you want. Communication and whatever save you're doing, do you need any of this information? Same thing with all of those custom properties. What is it that you're trying to view? So if I come up here and say, you know what, I don't want to see this information. I'm really just coming in here for some client details. I want to know what communication is going or doing. And I want to know who it is I'm contacting. And let's see, when I have to renew them. And then we come down here. I don't want to see any of my non-closing tasks right now. So I will mark those off as well as my closing task sections. I'm going to hide those. And maybe I do want to see the last time I published a financial report. So you pick and choose which ones you want. hit close. Now I've got a reduced view here. It's just what I want to see. And I want to save this. So I'll click on Save View, come up here, Save New, name it whatever I want. And this is going to be a firm-wide view. So I want everybody to be able to see this information without having to recreate this view. So I'll make it firm-wide and save that. And you'll know that it's firm-wide because it's got 2 people next to it. So if it has nobody next to it, that means that it's a private view. If it has the little team members, you know that everybody on your team can see that. I know I might have gone through that pretty fast, but let me know if there's additional questions on how to do this. It's the exact same method when you are in your tasks. Same thing here. If you wanted to, instead of just showing and hiding columns, if you wanted to specifically do it by, let me go to a different one here. Let me do our payroll. That's a really good one. This one is just filtered by this list. So you can see that it's toggled on. If I reset this, you can see that there's more clients here, but I'm going to leave that toggled on so I just know who my payroll clients are. I only want to see those right now. So you can filter by any of these and then save your view. And you'll notice that that Save View button isn't there. But if I change something, let's say I reset this, it's going to pop up. And then I have the opportunity to either update this view or create a brand new one. So if you've been playing around, you just want a new view, you can always save a new one from here as well.
Yep. So a lot of what we did for these kind of custom views is let me show or hide that column, and then let me filter down by the status, or in the task view by who's assigned or the due date. So lots of playing around, and that's why we kind of say it is a play and kind of figuring out what's going to give you the information that you need.
Yep. And some people will say, well, why wouldn't I just filter by my client list? Some people do that where they just pick and choose. Okay, I want to see these specific clients because they are all my payroll clients. Okay, you can do that. One benefit of having a custom property like this is that if somebody else gets added in, say this one starts payroll services, all I have to do is toggle that button and my view automatically updates to include that client. So if I have an added client to payroll and I'm doing it by the client column, then that just means that I have to go in here, update it, select that client and then resave or update the save view. Both work. Both definitely work. So you choose your preference on how you want to manage updating or changing information about your clients and how that factors into your saved views there.
We got a question about how can a view be renamed or be made firm-wide later? So if you wanted to change that after you've created it. So Jody, do you mind going over that really quickly?
This is a great example because this is a private view. So all you do is once you're in the view, you have it selected, you come here to more options. You can rename it here and then save. You can also change the sharing and you can make it firm-wide if you want to there. Or if you created it and it's a firm-wide view and you realize, oh, I didn't want it to be a firm-wide view, I'm the only one that needs to see that, you can change it back to private as well. One thing to keep in mind with those firm-wide views, the shared views, I know they're working on an update to this, but originally it was if only the person who created it had the ability to edit the saved view. So editing the name, changing the sharing status, all of those kinds of things, or updating the view. All of those only result or could only be done by the original user who set it up. But I know that it's in the works, it's in the roadmap somewhere to be able to expand that ability to other people as needed, especially if you have saved views in here that were created by maybe team members who are no longer part of the team. So that's in the roadmap, but just something to keep in mind until that update comes out.
Thanks for that, Jody. Do you mind giving a quick overview again of where we can add a custom property or that custom field again. So we talked about how if you've already created it, you use that little table icon to show or hide it. So if these are all created already, but then do you mind going through settings one more time just to show where that lives for adding a new one?
Absolutely. So you come up here to your practice settings. It's going to be in all client settings. And there's a tab here called properties. So it'll show you your client list, and then it's going to show you every property, so custom property that you have. Some of these are built in to Keeper. If you don't want the ones that Keeper has default in here, or you want to change them, you can delete properties here. So if it's something that you didn't want in there, like maybe you're not keeping engagement letters here, you don't want that, you can click on that to delete it and it will remove it. There is a canny request, feature request out there to have the ability to edit the names of your custom properties. Unfortunately, at this point in time, that update hasn't come out yet. So if you mislabel or you want to change that, the current process is you have to delete that property and then add it back in. And by adding it back in, you'll have to fill it back out for your clients as well. So just keep that in mind for right now until that request comes out. But when you're ready to add a new property, just click on the button here, and then you can choose from the drop down of what type of property do you want. So we showed you the open text box. You've seen the checkbox. That's right here, like with the payroll, you toggle it on or off. An attachment is where you can upload a file so that there's a file there. Here's an example here. And then you've got drop downs. So you can make a custom drop down. Let's name it. And then you can enter in all of the options that you want available to that drop down. Or you can choose to make it a date or user dropdown, and that's just going to pull from the date. Of course, it's going to be like many other areas of Keeper where it pops up the calendar and you pick the date that you want. Or the user dropdown, that's going to give you the list of users in the team or as part of your Keeper account to choose from there. So if you do have a custom dropdown, so these are examples here of our close frequency that we've created. If I click on that, it does give me the option to edit. So I can edit the options here. I can't edit the name of the overall property, but I can edit the options. I can reorder the options if I want to, add new ones, remove them, etc.
You can now change the color within these drop downs as well. I know for a very long time they could only say white. So if you like color as a part of these differentiators, you're more than welcome to do that within this section as well, within custom properties. So here in settings is where you're going to go ahead and create those, to adjust them, to reorder, to delete, anything that you need to. And then when it comes to the actual client list, that's where you'll show and hide or filter or anything like that. Great idea from Kate in the chat that she's using a custom dropdown for the tax filing status. So that's a really great idea. I've also seen a lot of people do the formation. So if you have some that are LLC and you have some that are S Corp, there are really a lot of options here. Even the service tier can be really helpful to use as a dropdown to kind of filter down or show what services that client is getting. So really great idea there, Kate. Thanks for sharing with everybody.
Something we stumbled upon as we were playing around in our demo account is the ability to see your connected and unconnected. Erica, where did you find that?
So it's actually, will you show where it was before? This is a new update. So before, you could go to the special filters. So actually the next one over.
Oh, yes.
So there is
Let me go back to bird's
the
eye
default
view.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So from here, you can choose unconnected, 0, QBO to just show all that are unconnected, that sort of thing. There is now a new one, as I was playing around this morning, where if you go to the show and hide, so where all of your master properties are, that very top one is client status. And I was super curious. I was like, wait, we have closed status, but what's client status? So that it has the ability to show all of unconnected, connected to QBO, connected to 0 in its own column rather than just, so you can see everybody's rather than just showing your unconnected or just showing your QBO. So this is definitely one that seems to be added to or sprinkled upon, which is really neat.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people have created a custom property to show this information. So now they can delete that custom property and have it built in right here.
And one thing that's really helpful for some of these that are keeper defaults, using this client status means that if that gets updated, it will automatically update here. So if I go in and connect one of those that's unconnected, it's going to automatically change. Whereas if we're using a custom property, we have to go manually update QBO to QBD or connected to unconnected. So that's just something that's really neat to be built in. So I was excited to find that. So thanks for opening up the floor to share that, Jody.
Yeah.
We are all caught up on the chat. So whether it is more that you want to dive into these custom views or properties, or if anybody else has any other questions about showing or hiding your archived clients on this view, or just another area of Keeper that you're curious about, floor is totally open.
Feel free to raise your hand, come off of mute. But ask away.
While we're waiting, Jody, do you mind showing the newer columns that are the revenue? That's
Sure.
a newer one that snuck in.
Did we already have a save view on that?
Go to CFO. I was playing around with that one. So CFO clients.
Okay. Yep, you do. Good work. Okay, so these are found at the very bottom of this add remove columns. So if we hide all of these, this is down here in the financials section. So we could also toggle on latest published financial report if we want. But this is what you're going to be seeing here. So it's going to show revenue up to last month, revenue for last month, last 12 months. These have been new, I think, within the last couple months. It's been in beta. I don't know that they've released it to everyone yet. It might still be in beta,
still in beta, but it's an open beta, so anybody can still join. Last time I was updated.
Yes, that's true. So we'll include that link too if you guys do want to join in to the beta to have these options to be able to see them here on the page. We'll add that link in with our follow-up email so you can jump in the beta. And I know that they are continuing to look for additional columns that they can add here to give you some more financial insight right here from this screen.
Amazing. Thank you. So quickly before we jump topics, so Heather, you had a question about adding color to those fields. So Jody, will you mind going back to one of those drop downs and showing how to edit the color on those options?
Let's see. Do we have a drop down here? Nope, that's the reason.
That's the reason one. Payroll does.
Info. Payroll. Okay, back to payroll. All right, so one of our options here, and if you didn't know, sometimes you have the ability to expand your columns. Woohoo! So you can see exactly what it was. So here we have two different columns that are custom drop downs. So if I click in here and I'm actively working on it, but I want to add color now, you can come here to the little settings wheel, and it's going to open up that the options. And again, you can reorder, you can rename, but right here's this little paint roller. That's where you can add the color in. So you can pick and choose your colors here.
Thank you, my friend. So do you mind jumping to how can you review or can you review how the practice email works inside of Keeper?
Setting up the practice email or just emails in general?
Believe it let me know if I'm wrong, Angela. Let's go ahead and cover how to set up the practice email, and we'll add some follow-up if we need to.
Okay. All right. So up here in your practice settings, and we are going to go to the portal and branding, practice email. This is where you want to connect your email. You can use whatever email address you want. It does not work with alias emails. So it does need to be that primary email address, whichever one you might use. And then you can connect that. And of course, you can send a test email to yourself there. You can also add your practice email signature here so that it populates on every email that goes out. If you don't want the same signature to go out on every email, you can leave this blank, and then you can always update your email templates with the specific signature that you wish for there. While we're here,
go ahead.
If you were also doing text reminders, or if you are part of Keeper Receipts for any of your clients and you want them to be able to text receipts in, you can set up that practice phone number here. And this is where you have to choose a new number. It is not one where you can enter in your current phone number. So you type in the area code that you prefer, and then you would choose a number from here, and that just becomes like an informational only. So it's just outgoing reminders or receiving those text receipts back in.
Perfect. And just to make sure that that one's super clear, so practice email and practice phone number. Currently within Keeper, you will have one per account. So
yes,
you can't have info at and Sarah at and Joan at just yet. We have one practice email that all notifications will come through, and one practice phone number that you'll either send those reminders or receive receipts back to. So just making sure that was super clear.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so while you're actually in settings, so Amanda has a small team, but what settings can help prevent something accidentally being changed or deleted? This is actually one of my favorite features that's a little bit hiding here in settings, but can be really helpful.
Yes. Real quick, though, I saw something pop up about the practice phone number. Does the practice phone number cost anything additional? No, the practice phone number does not. Keeper Receipts does. So there is an added fee per client that's using the Keeper Receipts. But just to get that practice phone number to send out auto reminders or anything like that, no, the phone number itself is part of your practice here. Okay, so let's talk about kind of putting some things in place to protect the information that is in here. This is going to be found under tasks, and it's going to be found right here with locks. So you can lock standard users, and this will prevent them from, it opened up a new page. There we go. Can you still see that okay? All right. So what this does is it prevents them from adding new sections. It prevents them from deleting things or reordering the sections, that type of information. Now, they can still change the task status. They can still create new tasks. So this is just a way of like locking those standard users so they don't accidentally move something or delete something that you wanted to stay there.
And honestly, this can be really helpful on all fronts. So from an owner front, I don't want you to be able to delete anything accidentally. But from somebody who's new and learning the system and fumbling around a little bit, take the pressure off so that I can't accidentally delete something that's really important, especially an entire section, because sections will delete anything underneath them, any tasks within them. So it can be really helpful.
For every client.
Yeah, for every client that has that section. So that's one of those that can really provide some peace of mind on everybody's front. And again, if it comes down to something that does need to be changed, sometimes having that lock on and facilitating that communication for, hey, if there is anything you honestly want changed that you're locked on, let me know. We'll talk about it. I'll either change it or we can, kind of discuss it from there. But sometimes having that basic lock on and facilitating the communication so your team knows you can change it. I'm just going to have to do it from my account. So clear it with me and I'll help you set that up.
And then the other one is lock section deletion. So If you toggle this on, that means that nobody, even admin, nobody can delete a section. This has to be toggled off to be able to delete something. So if we toggle this on and then come in here, I should not be able to delete a section. I shouldn't be able to. Well, I'm super admin. Maybe super admin still can. Do you have anything in onboarding? I don't want to delete. Let me just add a test one. All right, so.
Oh man, I didn't realize you typed that out. I just copy and paste from the delete all tasks so I don't misspell something or get an odd page.
Okay, so it did delete, but again, I'm in a super admin account. So it should be for.
We can get some clarity on that. Just
here,
to make
we'll pop
sure.
into this. So
yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's let's go down to sections. Okay, admins can restrict.
So it seems like this may be an admin only would be able to lock that. We'll get a little bit of clarification from the keeper team just to make sure. But that is kind of basic locks and checks. Again, that info page is going to be super helpful just to give kind of the ins and outs of there. But that's a quick kind of intro to make sure that nothing important gets deleted.
And how we got to that page, anytime you see this lovely little eye, that info button, click on it and it's going to open up one of those keeper help pages for you. I do see a question from Heather about the phone number. Does that go across all clients? Yes, that does go across all clients. So if you do have clients who are texting in receipts, what will happen is you will see it goes off of their phone number. So if in your, let me go back to settings so we can see across clients. Nope, client portal, all contacts. So if your contact has a phone number in here, and they text the receipt from this phone number, it'll link it to that client's account. If it comes from a number that isn't listed as a number for one of the contacts, then what you're going to see is a banner across your client list here that says receipts have been received in from an unknown person, and you'll click on the button to review it, and then you can assign it to the correct client. And for those who have multiple clients with the same contact person and the same phone number, I do believe that you'll have that same banner so that you can pick and choose which receipts that got texted in go to which account.
A quick question we had coming through the chat was, if you leave a client unconnected, can you connect them later? We kind of alluded to that, but absolutely resounding yes. So this can be really helpful if you are onboarding a client, but you don't have that QBO access yet. So if you have an unconnected client, you'll see that Connect, QuickBooks, or Xero up at the top. And they will show as an unconnected client. So any of those keeper default sections that come in for transaction review or any of the profit and loss down below will be kind of grayed out like that. So that's what you'll see in an unconnected client, but it's super easy to go in and connect them at any time once you have access. Or if you decide we're doing enough volume that this client makes sense, or we want to use the client portal or anything like that. Anytime you have an unconnected client, they are an unpaid client. You don't have to pay for that inside of Keeper. The fee comes in when you connect to QuickBooks. And then if you are using receipts, those are the additional fees that stack on.
Right. And for those unconnected clients, you still have a client portal. You just only have non-transaction questions and then space for questions from them. So those connected clients, you also have transaction questions available to you, but unconnected, you still can use that portal for files and non-transaction questions.
So
that communication can still be there. Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. If anybody does need to jump on, jump off to get on another call, I know we are wrapping up about time. So we'll share the recording and the slides. We'll stay on for a few more minutes to answer some of those that are coming through the chat. So hang on if you can. But just to kind of show everybody, we do these monthly Q&As every third Wednesday, so after the close. So you can, you're already registered for this one, so you'll get any notifications about the next one. But we do also have additional resources. So if you want a screenshot of all the saved views that we went through today, it's up on that additional resources website. And then all of our recordings for any past Q&As are up on our YouTube channel as well. So in case you need a little bit more to keep going down this keeper rabbit hole, happy to help there with some free resources. Okay,
thanks,
so
everybody.
hopping back in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, exactly. Thanks if you have to hop off. Couple other questions. So do you mind showing us back where we can get to the branding? So we skipped over that a little bit quick when we were talking about that practice email.
Okay. So branding, again, client or practice settings, client portal, branding. If you don't see this tab, it may be that you need to upgrade your keeper to premium. Premium gives you that white label availability here, so you can have that practice logo. You can, on your client portal, it'll show that the page, the actual URL is branded for your business, and your client login to your client portal can also be branded like that. So that is white labeling, and you can get that by upgrading. So you would go to your billing and make sure that you've upgraded to the premium. And if you have any questions or need assistance in upgrading, just come down here and click to talk to the keeper team. My page is reloading. Come down here to the keeper chat. And you can click to message and then let them know, or send us a message here. You can say, I just, want to upgrade to premium. They also are excellent at helping you to make sure that you get your business URL to match with your client portal and have all of that work seamlessly, which I do believe you have to have that functional client portal anyways. But yes, so that would be branding, I believe, is when you upgrade to white labeling.
Yep, perfect. And then Kate had a question about the community or those shared templates. So this is a newer feature. So we've always been able to create our own task templates. So those show up in client task templates in that drop down. But now Keeper has some community templates that are shared throughout the entire community. So if you want to get a look at somebody else's and what somebody else is doing for their processes, that's now available.
So that's right. The ones that you have for your individual practice here under client task templates. If you have chosen to share a template, we've shared one, it shows up here that it is being shared to the community. So to be able to see what is available to the community, click on the button to browse community. And then there are options to filter this down. This is showing you all categories. So there's a handful in here, small handful available that you can choose from. You can always preview them as well. So if you want to click on it to take a look, hey, what is in this? You can see all of the details there. We only have one section in here right now, so there's nothing to scroll through. But yes, if you needed to choose another one, you can do that as well and preview it. And then if you like it, you can copy it over to your practice. So right here, it says copy to firm, and then you can pull that in.
And once it's copied to your practice, then you can edit. So this is a great way if you honestly are not sure where to start on onboarding that new client setup from Christina Springstead. Amazing. We have some in there if you're like, okay, how can I use some of those or set up some weekly tasks outside of monthly bookkeeping? So a couple of options there. And then once you copy it in, you can change it to your little heart's content.
Right. If you are, I saw Kate ask, how do you do this? How do you share? So if you have something that you want to contribute to the community here, what you'll do is you'll find the template that you want to share, come to duplicate, and then click to community templates. From here, it'll share this information with you. You'll name it. You'll choose what category it should belong in, and then you can add a description here and then publish. So once it's published, again, you will see it down here, And if you need to make any edits to it, you can do that from this screen here. So if you need to update the name or the category, or if you're, updating the checklist or anything like that, you can do that from this screen.
Kate, if you share anything, you'll also see that community URL there as well. So if this is something that you want to share with other people, or once you've posted it, mention it in the Facebook group, that's something that you can use that URL to go straight here.
Yeah. All right. I know Kat said that she looked away. Where do you find these templates? So when you come into your templates area, anything that you currently have that you've built out will be here at the top in client task templates, community task templates. If you have shared any, will show here. And then I believe also if you've copied them over, they may be here as well. So browse community is where you can see these to be able to share them. So if we were to copy that back, I can name it as community. And if I don't have a non-closing task section called general, I can map this to my own. So if
you can choose where those tasks will drop in.
Yes. So where in the non-closing area do I want these to go? So it gives me all of these options here. So I want that to map to my general, and I'll click add to templates. And it does drop them in here because now it's my template. I can edit it. I can do what I want to with it. It's in here somewhere. Oh, from community.
I was going to say.
I'm like, what did I name it? I don't remember. So yeah, so it'll show up there. So the only ones that show in here are the ones that you've actually shared yourself to the community, and that's where you can edit them for the community as well.
Yep, and that browse community again is that button to find the few that are shared currently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so while we are wrapping up, feel free to throw any last minute questions into the chat if you still have some. We'll bang through any that we have still open. Lori asked about creating questions. So how can you create questions that you can use on a regular basis? So let me know if this doesn't quite answer your question, Lori. The easiest way, you have a couple options. So you can create a recurring question if that question goes out on the 5th of every month, right? So it's specific to that client and we're asking the same question over and over again on a frequency. If we want to just have some questions that we could drop into the client portal at any time, that's where we could use a template and add that client questions down at the bottom. So this is what we've done on our onboarding template so that we can drop those exact questions in anytime we want to drop those in. So Jody, do you mind going to templates and then just showing how we can get that client questions section at the bottom?
Absolutely. So templates, if I go to add a new one, so when I'm adding a new one, this is also available if you're going to one that you already have created, but you will see these options down here at the bottom to add to your template. So if you already have a template that maybe already has onboarding information and you want to add some new ones to it, you can click right here to add the questions area. You can also have a template that's just questions. So you don't have to have these other areas in here. It can just be the templates. So you just come here to add. You would add it like you normally would, label it if you want it to have a tag on there.
And I didn't realize this until recently, but the tags will show for your clients. So that can help create a little bit of visual distinction if you're asking multiple questions in that area as well.
Sorry, I was answering something in the chat as well. I got distracted.
All good. So Lori, quick recap. Inside of templates, client questions or add client questions at the bottom, and then you can add whatever questions you want to be kind of queued up that you could apply to clients anytime. And again, once you get them applied into that client, then you can go delete if you didn't need one, or if you need to change the wording just a little bit, you can do that inside of the client portal of that client that you just dropped those questions into.
So I just dropped this into ours here, and you'll see it's down here as a test. Let me go to portal settings, and I'm going to preview so you can see what this looks like for the client. These are in non-transaction questions. Oh, do we have them? We have assignable. Let me turn that off real quick. Okay. There they are. So you can see this is where that tag shows up for them. It's just a good way if they know that they're looking for tax questions, then they're looking for the one that has this tag on all of them, or the onboarding questions. So that's how those tags show up for your client. Here.
So little bit of a adjustment to that last question. So helpful on that front in case anybody else needs to drop questions in. If you want to kind of set the question that you want to be able to ask if something is uncategorized and you need some more options, you can actually go into, Jody, is it in templates? And yeah, you might know better.
No, you're right. It is. It's in templates.
Okay, lovely.
So we'll go in template right here. There's a questions tab.
Questions, and that's where we can update these like quick filters. So if you see something in that uncategorized filter or report in Keeper, underneath, when you say ask client, it'll give you these quick options for info, vendor, receipt. So here's where you can update what you would like that question to say or add any new ones if you need something that's slightly different.
Here, if you want to change it, you can always update here. And then when you are in a connected client, let me switch over to one so we can see that on one of our options. While I'm getting there, I did just see the question about, can you add multiple questions to it? Let me see if I can find one that has, let me just go up to the,
you might go back a close
register
as well. This is July 24. We may not have any data in that one.
There we go.
Oh, nice.
So you're coming into the ask client question area, click on that. There's our test. If you are wanting to have more than one question in here, you can also update the template here. So if you needed to add more, you can add a templated question straight from here. You don't have to go through your templates. You can, right here, template questions, add. But if you want to do more than one, you're going to have to manually update. So let's test that. So I'm going to add that to the client portal. But if I click in here again, all it's going to let me do is update the question. So you can't select more than one, but you can add to it. So if you type in, select one and then go in and type additional questions if you'd like.
So that was my point in the template. If like when I was working with a different client, often I would have to ask who the vendor was and what it was for.
Yes.
So if that's something that you have often, you can make that a template that says info and vendor, and then put the two questions together.
Just amazing workaround. Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Because I never understood why you couldn't put two questions in the same one, why it wouldn't let you click two. I think that needs to be on the roadmap.
So
that's crazy.
That's perfect example of a workaround, because some of these pieces, it's like, oh, I don't understand why I can't do this, but we can work around it and say, okay, well, if I can't choose two, then I can add one that has both the questions that I would like in there. So really great mention, really creative use there.
Yep. And again, you can edit any of these. If you don't want them, you can delete them. You could just, make the ones that make the most sense for you. The ones that you find yourself asking over and over again, put them in here to make it nice and quick. And all of this is, if you're using the Chrome extension and you're asking questions as you're clearing the bank feed, whatever you have here, so that you can see here, this will show up there as well. So you can see here's the one that we did, info plus vendor. You'll have these same options if you're using the extension while going through that bank feed.
Alrighty. Well, we had a ton of great questions today, lots of creative workarounds and stuff like that. So always love seeing that. With Christelle, I'll go ahead and email you about the Chrome extension and share the link with you for that help article. It's a really cool one that you want to dive into. So I'll make a little note for myself and I'll email you that. But thank you again for everybody who stayed around. We appreciate just the time on a random Wednesday for you to get together and talk a little bit more about Keeper and start to address some questions about how can we customize it a little bit? How can we make it a little bit less clunky and a little bit more of what we need specifically? So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.